and welcome to Boozy Baker's 12 Days of Christmas Countdown. I'm Michelle, my mum Karen.
Hi.
We're going to go through, well, today we've got we've got Pesto Palmiers.
I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting you to do that.
So from the 12 days leading up to Christmas, we'll be doing lots of different treats. We've got mince pies,
Mulled wine,
what have we just done?
truffles, biscotti,
all sorts. So they're going to be keeping you entertained and lots of yummy things to make either for gifts or to treat yourselves. So today we're going for something a bit savoury.
Yes, we are.
And we're cheating a little bit.
A lot.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yes.
So Pesto Palmiers are kind of canapes, really, maybe a bit bigger than that. Yeah. But it's puff pastry with swirls of pesto inside. Now we could tell you how to make pesto,
which is actually very easy.
It is very easy, but it's the whole food processory bit. And when you're dealing with little amounts, you then got to have the right equipment. So I've decided to cheat. So what you're going to need for this is a roll of puff pastry, a jar of pesto, and some Parmesan cheese.
And some pine nuts.
Well, I think this is the bit where it gets optional. If you want it to make it look like you've made a bit more effort to your canape, what I would say is get some pine nuts and some fresh basil, which is all in your pesto jar.
That's basically what that is.
Yeah,
Yep.
But we're just going to add a bit more fresh and a bit more of a bite and texture.
Yeah.
And you're going to need a baking tray lined with some parchment paper. This is going to be an easy one. It is.
Just for the record, these palmiers are generally, they're French, as you can tell from the name really, but they used to just be sweet. So they were just flake pastry, puff pastry, whichever you call it, just with sugar in them.
Oh, okay.
And they were kind of just a treat to have with your coffee in the morning. So that's where the whole thing's come from, but this is a savoury version of it.
I like a few canapes around Christmas time, a few snacks, and I think with baking you can get caught up in all the sweets, and we do quite regularly. But I do think just a few canapes that are nice to have with a glass of something.
Yeah. And actually, you can store these in an airtight tin for a few days, so you can just have these on standby.
Right, so this pastry's been in the fridge to keep it nice and cold. So I'd recommend that you keep your pastry until you need to use it.
Yeah.
And I'm just unrolling that. Right. Oh, just unroll that last bit. It might, just be very delicate with it, but it might try to tear where it is really cold. But it's easily fixable, so don't worry too much.
It's quite good to have a pack of this kind of flaky pastry just knocking around.
Yeah, I think so. You can make quite a quick dessert or
savoury.
Yeah, a bit of tomato.
Tart.
Yeah. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tip this straight onto my baking tray. So I'm going to go that way round so I can just peel off what it comes on. There we go. Now the reason I've done this now is because I think once you've got it all filled and rolled, trying to move it onto the pastry, you could easily lose its shape.
Yeah.
Right, here's the easy bit. We're going to get a jar of pesto.
She's so skilled.
This took me so long.
Yeah. What we should have said is we made it earlier and we popped it in a jar.
Yes, of course. So we're going to just spread that along. So that was 3 teaspoons I've used so far. And there we go.
And then just put as much on as you want. You don't want it to be completely overpowered.
No, you
my
don't.
Opinion, anyway.
No, I think you're right. I don't think...
a hint of it.
You want to be able to see the pastry through it still, I think.
Yeah.
But you want the taste of it as well. So I think 3 teaspoons was would you say it's about right?
Yeah, and sometimes for those of you who don't want it to be even as flavoured as that, just really spread it really thin.
Absolutely.
So just get that little hint of it.
I'm going right up to the edges.
Flavour. It depends on which one you buy, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I just like something a bit quick and easy. You don't always want to be in the kitchen, and these are nice that you can do them a few days ahead as well when you want
to say
them.
when somebody drops in for a drink, and of course that's not going to happen this year.
Well, I don't know. We've got the households, haven't we?
Yeah, but I meant just like
I know.
But anyway.
But this is going on YouTube, so you can watch it in yours. Yeah. Right. So I've now got my Parmesan cheese, and I would say about 25 grams.
Yeah.
But this is a bit of there's no real science to this because we're not doing the pastry.
No.
So I would just spread it as much as you want, really.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to sprinkle it, just grate it on. You can cheat even further and just buy this pre-grated.
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
but I do like to have a block of this in the fridge as well because I think you can really zhuzh up a meal with a bit of Parmesan.
Absolutely. You know, when we were in Parma, that seems like years ago before the lockdown, we went to this restaurant more or less every single day, and it had a Parmesan thing. You just squeezed it and it grated it, and I went, yeah, it was absolutely brilliant, this grater. And I asked the man in the restaurant where he got it from, and he didn't know. And I looked in the local supermarkets, but I've never seen one since. It was such a good little device. It was just put your block in and you just squeezed it and it just.
Oh wow!
It was really good.
I'm leaning into you so the microphone picks you up a bit. If you think I'm getting a bit close.
I'm very interested in this.
I'm really interested. It does sound a nifty device though, doesn't it?
It was so good.
Right, so it's covered, but again, I'm going to hold this up to the camera.
Yeah.
But it's
not over the top.
It's not over the top. You can still see the pastry through it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can see that.
Oh, it smells good, doesn't it?
It does. We haven't done much at all, really, but we'll claim we did.
Yeah.
So the pine nuts, you could, I suppose, put them in whole, but do you think we should maybe chop them a little bit? What do you fancy? Do you want whole pine nuts? You want whole pine nuts?
Yeah.
Well, you do the honours because I know how much you like pine nuts.
I love pine nuts. Absolutely love pine nuts.
Right, I'll move this over so you can see.
I'm not going to go too mad again because I think
it's going to be rolled, so you are going to pick it up at some point in each palmier.
I think you're just going to get a little sort of crunch every so often.
Yeah.
Because you've got the pine nut flavour in the pesto. Anyway.
You have.
But I don't think I'm going to put much more than that in.
Just a few, just a sprinkle. It all just says homemade, doesn't it?
It does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then your last ingredient, if you wish, you don't have to again, because pesto is a lot of basil anyway, but I'm going to take just a handful of leaves. In fact, not even a handful, half a handful.
Yeah.
Do we have a knife?
Not a
Well, I did. I don't know where I put it. Anyway, I'd use a sharper knife than this, but it's only leaves, so it will cut. And I'm just going I've rolled them up a little bit, just so that I can easily cut through. But this is also, it'll look fresh. Even when it's baked, you can still see that it's fresh. So it's just a little nod again.
That we just got a little jar over.
No, we don't tell them that bit. No, you slaved away over this.
Yeah.
Right, and then just sprinkle it on. There we go. Oh, I think we're
That's looking good.
a bit stuck to my fingers. There we go. I love basil. Well, it brings back memories of holidays to me with you.
Yeah.
Nice mozzarella and balsamic and oil and basil. Right, I'm going to move that. There we go.
Right, now the tricky bit.
Do you reckon? So I'm going to go this way just because we don't want too heavy a roll.
No.
And then we get more of them as well. Okay. So what you want to do is roll your pastry to the middle on each side. So I'm going to just gradually do it.
You're just picking up the very
edge, yeah, just to help it on its way. Okay. And then it is quite sticky.
See, this is when I go very
technical. Yeah, you know what, that's a good point. Let's do that. About there, are you happy with that?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Okay, right.
And the other end.
And the other end, just to make sure. See, I wouldn't have done that.
And then you'd be like, the middle.
You'd have had to just keep looking at each side to assess.
I've got this very logical symmetry thing going.
Right, go on then. That's your side, and I'm going to do this side. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So we're going to just roll. I mean, you've got a head start now.
Yep, I'm going to win.
There we go. Just pick up those edges.
Well, she. Isn't as difficult as I thought.
No, I think once you've got that first initial one,
I think make sure your
it's
hands
not
are relatively cold.
Yeah. There we go.
I can't see the mark.
Oh no, you're all right. You've got to here. Look.
Okay.
So that end's a bit heavy where we've got a bit more pastry, but not a problem at all. And there we go. Oh, don't you come over my side.
Not that we're in the slightest bit competitive.
So they're just joined in the middle, and they can stick together a bit then.
Yep.
Right. That is all you need to do, and then we need, well, not all, to be fair, I wouldn't eat it like that, no. So put that in the freezer for about 30 minutes, which will just make it a bit more solid so it's easier to cut.
Yeah.
So we're going to do 30 minutes in the freezer, and then we'll come back to do the next part.
Yeah.
We'll see you in a minute.
For a glass of wine.
What wine it
Why
is.
not? Hmm?
So this has been in the freezer for half an hour. Hopefully you've also preheated your oven to 220 degrees Celsius or 200 for fan or gas mark 7. Sounded like Len then, didn't I? 7. So we're going to cut along this log about 1.5 centimetres. That sounds a bit exact, 1.5 centimetres
Have you got a ruler?
in length. I haven't. Where's your tape measure? So
I always have a tape measure on me.
So what about there?
Yep.
Finger's width, I would say. A lady's finger's width. And then put them on their side. I will show this to camera in a minute when I've done a few more. But I suppose by freezing them, it's just made it a bit easier to cut out. You do need to space these out as well because they are going to grow. I love them, aren't they cute?
They are, and they smell lovely.
So I'll do some more. And oops, as I'm putting them out, I'm slightly curving them into like a semicircle shape. So I suppose a little love heartish at the moment.
Yeah, you probably want to really do that because when they spread.
Yeah, you'll lose that
fact,
definition.
I think Palmier stands for something like pig's ear or elephant's ear.
Oh, I see. So it's the shape of a pair of ears.
Ear, yeah.
There we go.
The things you learn when you tune into Busy Bakers.
Do indeed. Right. I can see some pine nuts in that one. That'll be yummy, won't it?
Is that the first one you've seen with pine nuts? Was I a bit stingy?
Oh no, I think there is some other ones, but that one just happens to be where I've cut.
I might have been a bit stingy.
Oops. Just make sure that you cut all the way through, otherwise you end up pulling the pastry away. But I'll probably go back round and just tidy these up.
To shape them.
Yeah. There we go. Another one done.
There's nothing else. They smell lovely.
They do smell really good, don't they?
I feel almost as though I'm abroad.
Can you imagine having this with a glass of champagne though at Christmas time?
Oh, I could. Well, now I do. But yeah, Christmas time would be great.
At any time, really.
Anytime.
Anytime. Nearly there.
It's funny, Matt's just asked me what was my favourite food. And I said champagne. And I was staggered that he didn't say that's not a food.
He knows you too well.
Yeah, so obviously it's not better of arguing.
I'm just going to bring this to the top. There we go. One more there. Some of them have closed up a bit. Some you can really see the definition. As I said, we'll go back round them and just shape them up a bit.
And your fingers.
Last one. I think that'll be all right.
Yep.
Just make sure I've pulled those away. So that one's probably the dodgiest. So your ends might be the ones that don't look so pretty.
That's the chef's perk.
Chef's perk. You eat the ones that don't look so good, yeah?
Yep. Just make them all rubbish.
Yeah, okay. So we're just, if I start this end, you do those ones.
Okay.
So we're just going to go round them and just shape them a little bit. That puff pastry is going to puff out. So that you should see the different layers.
Yeah. I'm doing mine a bit like bunny ears.
Well, you're pulling them up a bit more.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's the
Okay.
right thing to do, but I don't know.
That's all right.
See, that one's like really
We're
strange,
smiling.
isn't it? That's a smile. I'm
There we
trying
go.
to convert them all into bunny ears.
Right, there we go. What do you think?
I think that looks great. That might be a bit close together.
It might. You do, if you need to. I mean, we've got quite a wide baking sheet,
Yeah.
so you can always just pop them. Do you want to put some on another baking tray to make sure?
Yeah, I'd be happy. I just think we could
To space them out a bit. It's
Yeah.
worth it, isn't it? Rather than.
I don't want them all stuck together, do we? So I think it's worth it.
There we go. That's a bit better.
Yeah, I'm happier with that now.
There we go. If we do that, we could do like 5s almost, can't we?
Yeah. And of course, you can double up this recipe if you want to have loads of them.
Yeah, just another sheet of puff pastry,
Yeah.
and just keep going.
Yeah.
I'll bring them up to camera so you can see. Mr. Boozy Baker, is that clear from behind the camera? Yeah, there we go. So we are going to put those in the oven and bake them for around 15 to 20 minutes. I reckon they'll probably need about in between that. So check on them at 15 minutes. You want them to be nicely puffed up and golden. Once they are golden and they've grown, then just take them out and cool them on the tray, on a cooling rack if you've got one, or just the hob really.
Yeah.
But just leave them to cool and then serve.
And then you've got just long enough to put the Prosecco or the champagne or any bubbles on.
On ice?
On ice, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then serve immediately, or you can freeze them. You could freeze them like this,
You
not
could.
freeze them, store them. You
Yes.
could freeze them as they are like this,
Yes.
and then bring them out when you want.
Yeah, that's
They might
a
just
good
need a
idea.
few more minutes to cook.
Yeah.
Or you can store them, and they should last a few days. But I do find with pastry,
Oh, it's always best when you-
I would always eat pastry straight away if I could, or all the time if I could. But I would freeze now if you don't want to use them all,
Yeah.
and then you can bring out whether
And
it's
then
Christmas or New Year.
You could put it in the freezer like that, and when they're frozen, then you could gather them all up,
Bag
put
them
in,
up.
bag them in put them in a little tub, and then you could look really, really,
Yeah, well, it's nice space saver, isn't
what's
it, as
the word
well
I was
then?
looking for? Domestic goddess.
Yeah, we haven't really learnt that one yet, but we can try.
We can.
Right, okay, we'll come back when we've got them baked just to show you the finished result. Okay. And here we are,
Yep.
nicely golden. To be honest, you probably could have made them a little less golden, but I did get a little bit distracted for a minute or two, but I'm pretty happy with those. Do you want to try one?
I do. I think this is going to be messy.
Do you reckon?
Oh.
They're really good.
Oh.
And they're not too messy actually for finger food.
No, they're not. I thought they were going to sort of.
Crumble, go flaky. No, they're really nice. Lovely texture. Right, well that's kind of us done. We've got our mimosas. Oh, actually I've not got it on my frosted glass. I've got the side I've been drinking from. Our nice mimosas, chin chin.
Chin chin. Sorry, I've
And of course catch up with our workshop on that when it's around.
Yes.
And happy Christmas. And of course if you've liked doing this workshop, there's plenty more over Christmas. There's plenty more on YouTube to follow. And if you'd like to say thank you, there really is no need, but we do have a page called buymeacoffee.com, and you can buy us a virtual drink.
And subscribe to YouTube.
Yes, please do. Happy Christmas.